Okay, hello once again. Um, so I am here to review Warfare. This is getting streamed to my YouTube channel, of course, because I recently unsubscribed or disenrolled or however you want to look at it from X Premium or Twitter Premium, whatever the fuck it's called now. But yeah, I'm gonna need to give me 1 second. Obviously get my stream pulled up so I can get it posted elsewhere. So 1 second. I'm very prepared. I'm very professional. Okay. And I'm going to post the link in the replies here. And obviously, if you're seeing this on YouTube, the recording, it's like, doesn't matter. But, and not that anybody's, going to know to go to my YouTube, but I have the stream link in there on put on my X/Twitter account. So anyway, that's taken care of. So basically, I just wanted to start out with saying how fucking shit 2025 has been for movies, for new movies. I've certainly seen my fair share of old movies, as I always do, as I try to have a good rounded, palette of stuff that's kind of currently marinating in my head, of my favorite art form and medium, and so it's just what I usually do. Um, in general, I try to watch as much as I can. I try to get my hands on as much as I can. I try to take recommendations from people, but there's always something to watch. There's always something new to see, no matter how many movies you've seen, which is always it's a wonderful thing, but it's also just like this never gonna end, is it? And that's I guess that's good. It's sort of an endless pursuit, but um 2025, yeah, listen, I've only seen one movie this year, and yet I can tell you with confidence that this is the worst year for movies in a long time. And last year wasn't good. Last year was dismal. But again, I would argue that even as bad as last year was, there were still these highlights. There were still these little things, and um, I don't even see that this year. I mean, we had the bike riders. We had oh no, I'm gonna struggle here to actually come up with movies I like last year. But The Dead Don't Hurt, the Western by Viggo Mortensen. We had The Substance. There were things that were at least again, I felt like there were these small victories along the way. Not great and certainly good as 2023 or 2019, but for how bad 2022, 2021, 2020 were, where the basically the only things that were worth talking about were these small indie movies, small genre movies, which again, I'll take what I can get, I guess. Last year, that's what it was. It was, that's so weird. If you know me, if you know my movie tastes, you know that horror movies are just not something I like or uh, really, invest a lot of capital in. It's just, I make fun of them. They're badly made. They're stupid. They're dumb fucking movies. So but having said that, going in, I still try to appreciate, was this a well choreographed kill? How did one situation set up another? There are ways to make a good horror movie, even if I think in general most horror movies are stupid. There are good horror movies out there. There are, and last year that's what it was. It was a collection. It was a handful of them. You know, I liked Maxine, even though it sort of is, you know, less liked as time goes on, it seems. I liked Longlegs. It creeped me out for sure. Um, I like Strange Darling, which again is more of a, I would call that more of an exploitation movie than like a horror movie, but really really fun twists and uprooting convention, subverting expectations. Really fun, nasty movie. Um, I mentioned The Substance. Obviously, that's sort of this transgressive horror satire. Um, and it's funny because I lambasted, I think it was James Wan who did Malignant, for the sort of third act reveal of the character and everything. And you know, in the same sense, like The Substance does something similar. And it's like, are you a hypocrite for that? And it's like, they're two different movies. You have to judge a movie by what it is. I mean, I think it's fun to compare and contrast. I actually think it's the most effective form of criticism. But, in terms of your own, takes, criticism, points of view, whatever, uh, it's like you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be, uh, you have to kind of look inward. But at the end of the day, it's like, they're very different movies, I think. Um, and I think The Substance has this knowing, winking, satirical mirror that it holds up to women and what they do to themselves. So, you know what I mean? I don't really know that Malignant's that deep or interesting or funny or mean. And James Wan is whatever. I mean, he's occasionally adequate, if he's doing the right kind of horror movie or whatever. But um, you know, I he did the first Saw movie, I think. Um, and he did a bunch of haunted house ghost shit after that, and I don't know. He's really not. I mean, he even did Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon, the vigilante movie, and even something that really does appeal to me, even a genre movie that really does appeal to my sensibilities, was pretty disappointing, pretty one note. It just, he's not somebody that I really care for in terms of being a director, but to each their own. So 2025, it's been a shit year. So, and I've heard people talk about A Different Man, the Jason Statham movie. I'll have to check it out. I'm at that point where it's Jason Statham movies that I'm looking forward to. I'm going to sneeze here in a second. Just fair warning. Steven Soderbergh had, what was it, Black Bag, that came out. I heard it was underwhelming, mediocre. So, again, I will check these things out when I'm able to, but I wasn't going to go to a movie theater and spend my time watching these things. But I saw that this movie, Warfare, was coming out, and it was Alex Garland was behind it, along with Ray Mendoza, a name I didn't know really until I did a little bit of research. And turns out Ray Mendoza was the like wartime coordinator, or basically the expertise on set for Civil War last year, with some of those gun battles and the heavier firepower scenes, the warring factions. And I definitely remember that being one of the standout aspects of Civil War, a movie I liked a lot. Last year when it came out, I thought it was one of the better movies of 2024. Um, I think a lot of people just didn't get it. They didn't quite grasp it on the level that I did, which I know sounds super snobby and arrogant. But what I mean is just, it was about the journalist at the center of that movie. That's what the movie was about, and it was about a hypothetical about this country going, to war with itself. against an authoritarian president, who obviously, I mean, yes, you are going by a lot of expositional dialogue to sort of fill in the gaps. Yes, it is a road movie. Do you know what I mean? You have to kind of accept a movie for what it is. If you're going to point out flaws, point out flaws in the plot, in the writing, character development, whatever, you know, real genuine criticisms, not, oh, it wasn't what I wanted it to be, so I was disappointed. That's not I'm sorry. Listen, I may do that from time to time. Okay. I may be guilty of doing that. That's bad film criticism. That's just bad film criticism. Okay. That should not really be allowed. And I mean, whatever, have your opinion. I'm just going to pick it apart because that's what I like to do. But I like Civil War. I really did think that some of those, I mean, the end scene in Washington as the helicopters are flying in, and it's just like that was surreal and intense and just a nightmarish vision of something I hope never comes to pass. And so yeah, I thought it was an impressive movie. I thought it was smartly non-political. Oh God, there we go again with that statement. And we'll get to that with Warfare as well. But I just thought it was a smart movie, and it handled a hypothetical situation really well. And yes, there's some cringy dialogue in there about, like, the Antifa massacre, and the Hispanic dude that's like the discount Pedro Pascal, Wagner Mora, I think is his name. Just he was the real weak point in the cast, in the crew, the crew that's heading towards Washington D.C. to get this supposed interview with the president. Um, you know what I mean? So it's not a perfect movie. I gave it a 4 out of 5, but I thought it was very impressive in what it captured and the situation it created and executed. So, and that leads us to Warfare here. It's sort of a dual directing credit by Ray Mendoza and Alex Garland. And I mean, I think that this is Ray Mendoza's story to tell, with connecting to the soldiers that were injured in this fight during the Iraq War in 2006, and I believe it was Ramadi. Yeah. So yeah, the plot here on IMDb. We can just pull this up here because why not? Otherwise, it's just me talking. So yeah. No, let me get this pulled up here. So platoon of Navy SEALs embark on a dangerous mission in Ramadi, Iraq, with the chaos and brotherhood of war retold through their memories of the event. So, I think it's kind of interesting. This movie is based on the sort of the missing details of the men who were, because I believe one of them succumbs to their injuries after the movie's over. So I'm not ruining anything. Okay. But the one that survived, it was, trying to piece together the memories of what happened. What happened to him, what happened to his unit, this group of Navy SEALs that took over this house in this city. And I don't know if it wasn't good intel. I don't know if they hit a hornet's nest at the wrong time. But this house is overtaken, and they are kind of quickly overwhelmed. This Navy SEAL team. So this is really, it has the true story aspect to it, but it's something that is a little bit heavier in terms of the material, the graphic nature of the violence, of the injuries, the trauma that the soldiers endure and go through, it's hard to watch. I mean, you understand why it has an R rating. You understand why it's kind of this gritty, atmospheric, haunting sort of experience as a movie. It's only 95 minutes, but um and it's smoothly told, and it moves along. It doesn't stagger or stutter. It doesn't meander. It's quick moving. And it's a movie where you almost feel, as an audience member, you have to you have to keep yourself on your toes, because there's the number of times that I jumped watching this when a grenade goes off or an IED explodes. It was at least 3 or 4 times, and I don't know. It was a very tight, well constructed, well told movie about this group of Navy SEALs having to kind of endure a chaotic nightmare scenario. Multiple of their fellow soldiers are incapacitated with leg injuries from the IEDs. There's gunfire coming in at the house that they're in around all sides. They're trying to communicate with their radio / helicopter dispatcher for aid and evacuation. And all while this is going on, it's you sort of see different different aspects of the Navy SEAL team coming to help, and how that's being coordinated against the insurgents, the Iraqis. So I mean, it's there's a lot going on. It's very intense. It's bloody. It's not, I wouldn't say it's overly violent, I mean, it's a war movie, but you know what I mean? It's not, people aren't getting killed every second. It's very well thought out. It's considerate, certainly of the soldiers it is portraying. You have a very young looking cast. You have Will Poulter. It's probably the most recognizable name and face in the cast and in the movie. I mean, he's been in stuff, but I'm trying to think, like, it was some Marvel movie that he was in where he played, like, I want to say he played the antagonist, but I honestly can't remember. It was like the third Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that. I don't remember. And then there's Joseph Quinn, who apparently is in Stranger Things. I wouldn't know because I've never seen it. So, but okay, but yeah, anyway, so just looking at my notifications there. But the cast is just very young faces. You definitely see that, while the actors in this movie do a very good job showing competence, sounding like they're part of a Navy SEAL team that's disciplined, and they know what they're doing. But you see the youth, you see how young these guys look, and it makes what happens to them all the more shocking and haunting and disturbing. And I think while the movie is incredibly well shot, it has a very good handheld composition, something that okay, listen, it's sorely lacking these days, but it's always been kind of bad. The shaky cam tendency. Like, I understand the idea of, like, oh, it's like you're really there kind of thing. And if it's during a gun battle or like a monster movie, it's like, oh, well, you'd run too, and the camera would shake. And I understand that as a concept. It's not artistically pleasing, interesting, or disciplined, and I hate it. I hate how it looks. Most handheld camera work is fucking garbage. So yeah, they do a great job with the handheld camera work here. So that and the visceral nature of war and the wounds and it's incredible. But what impressed me most about Warfare was the auditory chaos. It's hard to hear exactly what's being said over the radio. The dispatcher asks you to repeat what you're saying. There's machine gun fire constantly going off. There's explosions, getting closer to your location. there's the men that you're trying to get care for over the radio are screaming out in pain. I mean, there's so many wonderful, and I say wonderful because it's like this is a fucked up situation, but in terms of the art form and movie making, it's this beautiful, uh, you know, this beautiful coming together of all these ingredients to make something that affects you. You're sitting there in the movie theater affected by the experience of watching this movie. I mean, it's listen, and I didn't see this in an IMAX theater, but I would definitely recommend it if you can find one that doesn't have that stupid fucking vampire movie in it. So I mean, I guess you got a couple of days before that goes wide, but yeah, I saw Civil War in an IMAX theater and it was incredible. So I bet this is pretty incredible as well. But yeah, the auditory just chaos, the up in the air nature of it all is just incredible in this movie. And so, you know, you combine those things, a memorable theater watch, something that's engaging, something that affects you, affects your senses. It's been a while, it's been a while. And I'm glad that we've got something to talk about. I'm glad that we have a worthwhile movie that's come out in 2025. I mean, I'd like to talk about the movie more in terms of the acting. I mean, it's pretty straightforward stuff, and I'm just looking through the cast. I literally don't recognize anybody. Um, I mean, in terms of performances, I would say that Cosmo Jarvis as Elliot really stands out. He's the sniper, um, who obviously has to adapt as the movie goes on. So he was pretty funny. So he was definitely memorable. I mean, you had Michael Gandolfini, who is memorable just because he have his name and his face. Um, and he's kind of the one that's dealing with the 200 soldiers at first, and misapplies giving one of them morphine and ends up pricking himself like an idiot. Like that was the one scene in the movie, by the way, that just kind of annoyed the shit out of me. So seeing reviews say that Michael Gandolfini was really good or something, I'm just like, I mean, fine, who's adequate. That's something, at least, whatever. It's the the many states of Newark is just like, it's still really bad taste in my mouth. And I'm like, that thing should have never existed. It was just awful, awful, awful decision making. And it's for what, for like this, oh, hey, people are watching this for 2 weeks. Just sully the Sopranos brand by being associated with it. Gross. Anyway, but yeah, the movie's definitely harrowing and disturbing, and I highly recommend it. I think that it sympathizes with the soldiers, and it also sympathizes with the people that are being invaded. It and sympathize is probably the wrong word. It has a neutral point of view. Yes, the protagonists of the movie are the American soldiers who have invaded Iraq. Yes, they didn't choose to do that. They are just literally following orders. That's what soldiers do. Uh, Navy SEAL specifically. That's their job. That's what they do. They follow orders. Um, and I think it does a great job of that. And it's just like, hey, these guys, they're in a fucking nightmare situation, nightmare circumstance, and they're just trying to get the fuck out. And it's like, yeah, you fully expect the people who are defending their village to keep firing and keep trying to kill them because they're at war. They're literally an invading army. And so I don't think the movie pulls any punches about that. I think it handled that just like it handled Civil War very smartly. And without the involvement of Ray Mendoza, I don't think that this movie gets made. I don't think the story gets told. I mean, I wish I knew more about the actual story. Um, of the soldier who this movie was basically, the idea was sort of made for him, to give him a memory of something he lost, to give that, I won't say to give it back to him, give his memory, I mean, in a sense, I suppose, but just to give him the background and the story of what happened. I mean, it's a movie, and it's not going to be perfectly attuned to what reality was, but at least you get the perception of the, whatever it was. I think 12 to 15 Navy SEALs that were in that house. Maybe it was high as 40, but I know that they talked to, again, 12 to 15 to get the script written. Just want to pull this up here. So I love the internet. Okay. Yeah, so Warfare is a love letter from director Ray Mendoza to Elliot Miller, who, after the traumatic events of the Ramadi operation, doesn't remember what happened to him. And I think it's a very cool idea. I think that certainly in the wrong, handled the wrong way, could be very insulting, could be exploitative. It could be, scoring cheap points for patriotism. It could have been some fucking propaganda piece, and it wasn't. It was a humanistic, heartfelt, it says it right there, love letter to what those guys went through, and to, restoring the memory of someone who sacrificed quite a bit, who is still alive, but who absolutely, had brain injuries, had permanent leg injuries to the point where he still can't walk. So I mean, that means something. That's not, it's not a story about nothing. You know what I mean? And so it has stakes. It has people, characters you want to root for, you want to see get out and survive, and on top of still not pulling any punches with the violence, with the carnage, with the toll that was paid by, the amount of losses, certainly on both sides, but by the Americans as well. And I think that it was Ramadi was the second most casualties or whatever, second, in the Iraq War. So it's not a small thing there, but yeah, it's there's so little to talk about in terms of the movie landscape, that something like this actually makes a splash, actually makes an impact. And look, I'm glad that at the end of the day, I mean, Alex Garland is a veteran filmmaker. I'm sure he gave his input. I'm sure he was behind a lot of the, cinematography and a lot of technical aspects of the movie making process. But he's done it before. He's definitely redeemed himself in my eyes from, what was it, Men, and what was the stupid cancer movie? Annihilation. Yeah, God, that was fucking a piece of dog shit. And look, I mean, it's funny too, because I was never really a big Alex Garland fan. I mean, his zombie movies are fine. The 28 days later, 28 weeks later. He also did The Island. He did Ex Machina, which I did like. I didn't love it, but I did like it enough to say, okay, I'm interested. But yeah, he's been a little up and down for me, but the last couple of times out for Alex Garland have been fantastic. Civil War and now Warfare. So easily best movie of 2025 so far. What can I say? There again, characters you can relate to. It has stakes, great cinematography. There's no score. Um, some of those gun battles are absolutely ferocious. Just, I mean, that alone is unsettling. Just listening to that gunfire for 95 minutes. But excellent movie. Gave it a 4 out of 5. I go by the sort of letterboxed rating system. It's just easy for me, and people seem to follow it. So whatever. But I just hope we have something more in store in 2025. I hope there's gems out there that just are flying under the radar right now. I do not have a lot of hope. Do not have a whole lot of faith that that's the case. But and look, I think the writer strike hurt the industry, but the industry's been going down for quite a while. I think he is too pessimistic because that's just his style and his taste. But Bret Easton Ellis kind of called this in, when was it? It was like 2013. So I have to tip my cap to him because he was right. And even though TV kind of replaced movies there for a while as sort of like the thing people are constantly talking about and obsessed with in the pop culture landscape, TV has kind of sucked for the last 5 years. There's the occasional show, you know what I mean? Like, and now it's like, it's The White Lotus, it's Severance, it's whatever, but it's not what it was, you know what I mean? Where every network has a show you absolutely have to see and check out, and like the writing's incredible, and there's this amazing character arc. Or I mean, it's just not, and whatever. I've never been a big TV guy anyway. It's there to pass the time. If one of my favorite actors is on something, I'll watch it. But it's always been a trash medium. So, and that's fine. It's just I accept that. But yeah, I'm busying myself watching old movies right now. I'm crossing off things that I've been meaning to watch for years. I really want to get to um trying to remember what it's called. Is it Fanny and Alexander by Ingmar Bergman on the Criterion channel? I want to watch that. I want to watch what is is it Scenes from a Marriage? Is that what it's called? Hold on. Yeah, it's Scenes from a Marriage, yeah. So yeah, I want to watch that. I want to watch just stuff I haven't gotten to yet. Mostly like classic films from the 70s, 80s, 90s, but I've been watching too much crap lately, you know. I've been watching too many movies that just are like not worth my time. And it's like I don't want to get bogged down on that. I'd rather rewatch something I've already seen than just, you know what I mean? Be like, okay, this is moderately entertaining, but I'm not really paying attention. So, but yeah, that's it. It's like it always is. It's just me continuously watching movies. Hopefully, there's something worth talking about. Um, I will go see Sinners next week at some point, but I can't. I'm not going to be able to get there until next week because I'm going to New York City for 4 days. So starting on Thursday. So I'm going to see Glengarry Glen Ross. So that's starring Academy Award winner Kieran Culkin and Bob Odenkirk, Michael McKean, Bill Burr, even though he's a dickhead who just can't stop talking about Donald Trump. So that's fun. But see, look, I patron the people that hate my guts. It's fine. That's what you do, right? That's how you show you the bigger person. I'm forgetting somebody in the Glengarry Glen Ross cast, I think. Someone really obvious. God damn it. This is gonna piss me off. Yeah, let me figure it out live on air. Let me figure this out. No, I don't think I'm forgetting anybody. No, I got them. I got all the major ones. I mean, there's like supporting people in and around them, but anyway, so I'm going for 4 days, and it's just an excuse to stay in a hotel in New York City. I've never done that actually by myself, and that's going to be fun, and can go eat a bunch of different places. It's going to be a nice little mini vacation, is sort of pat myself on the back for passing my license that associated with my real world thing, my real world job. So I'm not gonna say any more about that. Anyway, it's so fun to try to keep those two things separate, by the way. And for those of you that follow me on Twitter /X, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, hopefully good movies are coming. Like I said, Sinners next week. I will try to be back on. I might sign up for X Premium again, just so I can do these live streams and that gets posted there, because frankly, like my YouTube, I don't post to it enough to drive traffic to it. So it's sort of, it's really just a backup thing to post my videos to. It's not like I use it in any kind of networking capacity, or I expect it to grow, or, I don't do anything with it. I don't have an intro. I mean, I'm a very lazy podcaster, movie reviewer, and if you know what I mean. If you know why, you know why. But yeah, I really liked Warfare. I think you should go see it if you get the chance. I made it about 40 minutes here, 37 minutes doing a little mini review on it. But yeah, does all the things well. Doesn't drag. I guess I should probably talk about a little bit of the discourse surrounding it. I'm not sure. I mean, I understand where it comes from in a like sensitive, hippie, commie weirdo way, where it's like you're offended by the idea that the movie isn't political, or taking a stance when it's a movie about war. And it's like, yeah, it's still possible to see the humanity in people, even regardless of like what they're doing there in the first place. Yes, I understand that takes nuance and thoughtful consideration, and not jumping the gun and being an ideological twerp. But that's seemingly what people on film Twitter like to do, and what they've done. But it's fine. It's pretty critically praised. So I mean, the bone you have to pick with it is that what it's propaganda. No, it's not. It's literally not. It's like the movie is not propaganda. It's told from the point of view of, oh fuck, we're in a shitty situation and we got to get out. You know, in fact, it's quite moving from a humanistic level. It's we're dealing with all of this, and our priority is taking care of our team, taking care of our brother, taking care of you know our collective unit, and withstanding this barrage, withstanding this absolute assault, and not cowering and not running away, and not but standing and fighting and enduring. And if you can't find that to be meaningful, I mean, again, cinema is about empathy ultimately, right? So if you don't have empathy for those soldiers, okay, that's whatever. I mean, these people talk like it's this simplistic black and white thing where it's like soldiers are code for cops. It's like you're a fucking retard. You're a fucking retard. Okay, just stop talking, please. But again, I realize that these people say these things for attention, for clout, for praise, and it's just like, wouldn't you rather be intellectually honest? it's, it's like that scene in The Other Guys where Will Ferrell's like, Mark Wahlberg says, "The city's dying for a hero." It's like Will Ferrell's like, "Is it? What about 12 million, you know, concerned citizens all pitching in and doing their part?" It's like, fuck you, dude. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, wake up, live in reality, asshole. But yeah, it's just, wouldn't you rather be intellectually honest? That's, I don't know, that's just what comes to mind. Like, that's the thing. It's like, wouldn't you rather just tell the truth and examine things from that the context the movie is told in and the lens it's told through, but no, people are fucking self-righteous virtue signaling morons, so it's okay. I'm just going to be here to point it out. I'm just going to be here to make fun of it every time, right? So but yeah, that's about it. That's what I got on Warfare. Good movie, thrilling, exciting, haunting, fucked up, and ultimately heartening because of the story that gets told, and you get the end credit, real life comparison and story, and so and where it leaves it's a feel good aspect. So it's definitely a roller coaster of emotions and through the different events and circumstances the movie takes you through. So definitely recommend it. 4 out of 5. All right. So yeah, just follow me over on my Twitter. It's Rob_Motto. I talk about movies. I try to keep it to pop culture stuff. I really do. Try not to wade into politics too much, even if it's someone being crazy about them. You know what I mean? But anyway, hopefully good stuff is coming down the pike at the movie theater. If not, we'll talk about westerns and film noir and neo noir and favorite actors, and we'll get into some interesting topics. I'll actually think on it and not have everything be so rushed. So until next time, take it easy. Have a good week. I'll see you when I'm back from New York.